Predator Pinball revealed. Ligabue Pinball revealed. Steelbound Pinball revealed. Interview with Jack Valeri.
Hi, my name is Janson. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Martin Abe. I'm the editor of Pinball News, and Jonathan and I are here to look back on all the exciting events in the pinball world through the month of June 2025.
Right, Pinball Industry, that is.
Yes, that's right, in this next edition of our Pinball Industry News PINcast.
Right, for starters, in case you missed it, 2 weeks ago we actually recorded a bonus episode all around the reveal of Pinball Brothers Predator. So we're not going to talk a lot about that game now, because everything that we could discuss about the game, including an interview with Daniel Janson,
CEO,
has been published 2 weeks ago in the previous bonus episode.
But where were you?
Right. So, but anyway, in the meantime, there have been some gameplay videos being released, also with commentary by Daniel Janson explaining what he is doing, or if whatever the player is doing at that time. It was a pre-recorded and edited gameplay video.
There have been a couple of gameplay videos, that one, and there's been one since that says it has no commentary on it, and it's just game sounds. For those who complained that they couldn't hear any of the game sounds because Daniel was talking over the top of it. And I think the sound in the game has become a bit of a point of contention, I think.
Do tell.
Yeah, well, if you listen to our interview with Daniel as our bonus PINcast, you would have heard him where he told us that they had access to all the assets in the game, video and audio, with the sole exception of close-ups of Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays Dutch in the game. But he said that didn't matter that much. Sorry, in the movie and in the game, it didn't matter that much because you take the role of Dutch in the gameplay and bring together all the members of the team who could be featured in close-up and in wide shots. Well, it turns out now that they not only can they not use Arnie's close-ups, they also can't use his voice, or at least not at the moment. All these things are liable to change, of course, with licensing restrictions that come and go. But it also turns out
hasn't been approved yet, and
right, good point.
Using placeholder call-outs, so to speak, to have something for current code.
But it also turns out they can't use any of the character of Billy, who was played by Sonny Langham, because Billy never signed a contract to allow his likeness and voice to appear in any of the merchandising or sub-licensing, whereas other actors in the movie did. So they can't use him either, which is a bit of a problem, but not huge. Anyway, so as it turns out, as Jonathan said, they've now got voice actors to do an Arnie voice. To me, didn't sound very convincing. You thought it was okay when he was doing the Get to the Chopper.
Well, it's been 40 years since I've seen the movie. I don't recall the exact call-out, but it sounded Arnie-like to me. So I wasn't like, that's not Arnie. No, it sounded like could have been Schwarzenegger. Yeah, the accent is there.
Well, there wasn't an awful lot of audio in the gameplay video that we saw, at least not a lot of voice calls. So I think that's something that's going to be coded in and will hopefully make it more of a realistic and cohesive package than it is at the moment. It was obviously early code, because in the video that I saw just a little earlier today, which was the one without the commentary, there was a lot not happening in the game. Those displays, those LED displays on the apron, for instance, they weren't lit even.
Right.
So that hasn't been coded yet.
Raises the question with me, why was that game announced 2 weeks ago? And the reason I'm saying that is, okay, software isn't done yet, but I also understood they only start shipping games somewhere around August, after the Italian holidays are over. So I get that you're building games up front, but there was no as far as I can see, and I'm not on the inside of this, but it looks to me like they could have waited until they were ready to start shipping and have further developed code and do the reveal right at the beginning of August or something like that.
Yeah, I actually thought that would make more sense, given the fact that it gives them some clear water between their launch and the Harry Potter launch and the King Kong launch,
right?
Which made last month and the month before very, very busy. When it came to buying new games, by the August or the end of the late summer, people might have moved on those games or be ready to buy a new one.
Yes, so I was just wondering about that.
Well, it's potentially a licensing restriction as well, and maybe they had to launch it when they did.
Oh yeah, well, there is some anniversary coming up, or it was last month. I think it was the 38th anniversary of the release of the original Predator movie in theaters.
Oh, the big one, 38th. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like being revealing. No, I'm not going there. Sorry.
Okay, right. Well, I think that's the Pinball Brothers news for this month.
Well, there is some Pinball Brothers related news that actually brings us to our second headline.
Okay, let's go there.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave you with this because you were the one who discovered it and reported on it with a nice scoop in Pinball Magazine. So congratulations on that one.
Yeah,
tell us what it was for those who haven't read it yet.
Yeah, so it came to my attention that the weekend of Friday, June 20th. Pedretti Gaming, who is partnering with Pinball Brothers in Euro Pinball Corp, they showed a video of a Ligabue Pinball Game. It's actually called that, Ligabue Pinball Game. And for those not aware, Ligabue is a very popular Italian rock band headed by Luciano Ligabue. Having lived in Italy for 2 years, I'm quite sure the pronunciation that I'm giving this is correct. But it's a very popular rock band. They've been around since the early 90s. Close to 3 million followers on Facebook, and I haven't even checked Instagram, but that gives you an idea for just a band that is singing in Italian. So.
Yeah, very limited. Haven't heard of them before.
Yeah, very limited, and you're very rock oriented, I know. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you would definitely appreciate this music. So a very, very popular band. So the first thing I noticed is there's this sort of open party type tent, which turns out to be a side area of a concert area, open air, with 8 of these Ligabue pinball games set up. And I was able to find a short close-up of the playfield, and I instantly recognized it as a re-theme of Pinball Brothers' Queen. Which sort of makes sense because Queen, as a rock band, has a guitar on the playfield and so on. So new artwork, new call-outs, new music, and off you go. But at the same time, nobody was reporting on this game. And I'm like, am I the only one picking up on this? So I reached out to Andrea Pedretti, who confirmed it is indeed a re-theme of Pinball Brothers Queen. And, well, since they are collaborating in Euro Pinball Corp, I suppose the lines are very short, and it was no problem to retheme this design with Ligabue. In the videos shared the next day, Saturday the 21st of June, Ligabue, the lead singer of the band, actually signed all 8 machines in the tent. And what I found out later is there will be a signature edition limited to 10 units. So I suppose that's those 8 and 2 more. And there will be an unlimited arcade edition at the end of the summer, which is aiming for the Italian market. That makes sense. It's also the very first time that there is a pinball machine themed around an Italian artist or rock band. So,
right?
And indeed, I got a scoop without knowing it, because I received a press release without any photos. The photos were added later and weren't even that many. But apparently I was the only one who got the press release. So it's all published on pinball-magazine.com. It is a very nice looking game. I have to definitely admit to that, and I am very appreciative for being handed this scoop without knowing that it was a scoop, actually. And I'm happy to report more on the game, of course. But do check it out on the Pinball Magazine website. It's at the top of well, you can't miss it basically if you go there. So.
Yeah.
Did I forget anything? Oh yeah, we don't know any pricing yet, but I assume it will be in the same ballpark of what the Queen game would cost. That's an assumption, so don't hold me responsible for that. No prices have been announced yet. So, and a very sharp eye of you noticed that there's a mix of Italian and English text on the playfield. I suppose that the Italian texts are probably song or album titles used in the game.
Yes, I mean it's called Ligabue Pinball Game in English.
Yeah, which for Italy, for the Italian market, it probably would have made more sense to call it Ligabue Flipper Game.
Yes,
as pinball machines are in Italian called flipper da bar. So basically, flipper that you play at a bar, pinball. So anyway, but good for Pedretti Gaming, I suppose. And obviously, they have all the experience in building this machine, since they already built many Queen games.
Indeed, it is a very bright and flashy game. It's a bit too garish for my liking, but I dare say if you're into the band, there's a lot of references there to albums and to character or to band members and songs that they've recorded. Yep, there's a radio.
Yeah, the Wembley Stadium in Queen has been replaced by a pair of sunglasses.
With the red special guitar mini playfield is now a white guitar
instead of red on Queen.
Yeah. But other than that, it looks very, very similar. It spells out Mario on the right rather than Queen, and should be. I mean, the artwork is sort of fairly basic with like lots of red and stars and a few sunbursts here and there. I think it's a good use of an existing theme, and makes you wonder whether this is can be rethemed for anybody else in the future.
Right, and I'm also curious how this will do in Italy, especially it being such a popular Italian band, because it might open up a whole new market if you're just aiming at one territory in Europe. In the sense that if that license is very popular in the territory, you might end up selling a lot more games than you would have with a different theme based on the same layout. So,
yeah, but I'd be interested to know quite how much effort, how much work it was to retheme it in terms of software and display animations, because you could imagine they could sell different band themed games in different territories. They could do like a Rammstein game for Germany, or I'm trying to think of any other artists who are more focused on one particular country. But I'm sure you know better than me.
Well, yeah. There's also French rock stars that sing in are very hot in the French market. But out France are not very, very well known. Personally, I'm waiting for a Sabrina Salerno game.
Well, who isn't?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, if you take any female Italian artist, then it has to be Sabrina Salerno. So, So that's the big news from Pedretti Gaming, completely out of the blue, because I wasn't expecting a game, and if I was expecting a game from them, I was expecting it to be the announcement of a new remake.
Yes.
Since Pedretti themselves around New Year hinted at possibly Tales of the Arabian Nights being one of the upcoming remake titles. They also hinted at Theater of Magic, but I think that has been...
I don't think that's going to happen.
No. So.
Yeah. Okay, so well done on that. As I understand it, Ligabue will be playing a smaller venue very shortly, where they'll also have the pinball machine set up.
Yeah, and smaller venue.
In a hospitality area.
So just to be clear, this game was revealed at the Campovolo Music Arena in Reggio Emilia, which is in between Bologna and Rimini, for those aware of Italian topography. But there were 120,000 people attending that concert. So
it gives you an indication of how popular they are.
Yeah, and the next event where the pinball machines will also be present, I think there's only 50,000 people showing up, or tickets sold. So still, that's quite a crowd, I would say.
Yeah, you might get to see more video of the game, maybe some gameplay. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Nice to see. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on that. Okay, it's coming.
Yeah, and you got a scoop of your own as well.
Yeah, well, not really. I've been talking to Nick Waldridge, famous for many things, including his For Amusement Only Games company, which has produced a number of games for the multimorphic P3 pinball platform. Now, Nick's obviously also very talented in bingo and EM area, and collaborates with Ryan Claytor on the Coin-Op Carnival publication, which only had one edition so far, but hopefully be more coming. I know Ryan's certainly been very busy with his book, including his own book, his One Bite at a Time. But hopefully the two of them will collaborate and get the next edition of Coin-Op Carnival. But in the meantime, Nick has been working on a new game for the P3 pinball platform called Steelbound. Now, if you're hearing this, then Nick has just announced Steelbound on his For Amusement Only Games newsletter. And you'll also be able to read about it on Pinball News, where we have an article live right now. So it's important to state that this isn't a reveal of the game. You can't see any of the game. What it is, it's an announcement of what's going to be in the game when it is revealed. So It's like a pre-reveal. But it's an announcement rather than a reveal. Okay? So it's a novel role-playing adventure game where the player, so after they graduate from high school, they have to make a number of choices for their character throughout the game, which kind of determines their career path, the friends they bond with, what kind of leisure activities they want to get involved in, all of which things that go to decide their future. It's kind of like, a second life type thing. Mm-hmm. But it's more than that, because they also get to pilot a giant robot which allows them to explore dungeons collect treasure, and even unearth, get this, some dangerous truths about the world of pinball.
Oh my God.
Yes, I know, dangerous. So there's a lot in it. There's a big cast of characters. There's some great music in it, which you can actually listen to. I think there's about 80 tracks you can listen to right now from the composer's own website, which is available through Nick's For Amusement Games link, and also on the Pinball News article. And it has artwork by John Chadd, who is a famous pinball artist and author. So it's very it's unusual in a couple of ways. First of all, the most P3 games are either limited to one particular playfield module, or they sort of kind of put the barriers up, the walls up halfway across, and then allow it to be played on any. Well, with Steelbound, you can play and complete it with any of the modules installed, with the sole exception at the moment of Portal, because that's the new one hasn't been included yet, but it will be. But depending on which module you have installed, various aspects of the game change. So you have different choices, you have different characters, you have different options. So which allows you to play it up to one point, and you can save the game. You could put a different module in, pick up your game from where you left off, and then things will be somewhat different this time round. Or you can start it with that one and swap over to another one at any other point, assuming you have multiple ones. So very interesting, and also a bit like the Dungeons and Dragons game. The dungeons in this game are procedurally generated, which means that they're different every time you play the game. Although if you save the game and restart it again, it picks up with that same dungeon layout. But if you start a game again, the dungeons are completely different to how they were last time. So that's as I said, there's a lot in the game, and this is before we've actually even seen it yet. So. It's going to be launched in a few months' time, but there's some work to do, and just as kind of like a heads up about what's coming up from Nick and his team, and for Amusement Games, For Amusement Only Games, I should say, which will be a little bit later in the year.
Well, it's always good to hear that there's new games coming to the multimorphic platform, making your game more valuable, so to speak, and more diverse.
It is just to download, just to purchase it from the website, and it gets added to your library. Right, which is that easy.
Okay, so I guess there was no other news from multimorphic, at least that we.
No, not that I could see. No.
No, okay, then let's round it up, and let's continue with Jersey Jack Pinball, who, of course, at the beginning of June, revealed the long-awaited Harry Potter pinball game, and it's been quite a successful launch for them. We discussed about that. We actually waited with our PINcast recording until the game was revealed. We had an interview with Jack Ranieri last month.
We did.
And guess what? We will be talking to Jack again today.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we're going to catch up with what's been going on over at Jersey Jack Pinball, because Jack flew to the UK during the month of June, right. And he was there for the Pinball Heaven Open Day, the first ever Pinball Heaven Open Day, which was held at the company's. I know, yeah, very good heavens. Yes, it was held at the company's headquarters near Preston in Lancashire, and that was on Saturday 21st. He was there to talk to guests about the new Harry Potter game and other things that are going on at Jersey Jack Pinball, and about setting the company up and where it's going. And there was a collector's edition of Harry Potter set up in the headquarters of Pinball Heaven for people to play for free. The whole thing was free. It was a charity fundraiser to raise money for Make-A-Wish, which certainly did. But you can read all about this and see Jack and the game and all the other games that were set up there. A big selection of games across 3 different units in the the courtyard that has like I think it has like 9 or 10 different units there for different businesses. Well, 3 of them were used for this Pinball Heaven Open Day, and full of machines, and everybody had a fantastic time, and there was free pizza, free drinks, and then afterwards there was a dinner back at a nearby-ish hotel where people were able to carry on playing the Harry Potter game.
So they moved the game to the hotel.
They did, yes. It was in the pavilion there where the sit-down dinner was, and a quiz as well was held, not on pinball, but about more general knowledge.
Okay.
But carried on. So that was Jack in the UK. So I had a chance to chat with him then, and of course we chatted with him last time for the launch of the game.
Right.
And we're joined now by Jersey Jack Pinball's founder, Jersey Jack himself, Mr. Jack Guarneri. Good evening, Jack.
Hey guys, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you, Jack?
I'm well. I'm over at the factory for a few days this week.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, you and I met just a few days ago, about a week ago, when you were over in the UK for the Pinball Heaven Open Day. How was your trip to the UK?
It was great. It really was. Even though I took a plane, a train, a boat, and a bus to get to the English countryside where Phil's place is in Tarleton.
Yeah, you didn't have somebody pick you up and give you the luxury treatment?
I think they were busy. He knows that I could probably find my way. I haven't been there, but it's a big country. You don't realize it until you take a 4-hour train ride with 3 different trains. It was very scenic, but it was nice. It was relaxing. I slept. I ate. I had a sandwich. I had a tuna fish sandwich with corn on it, which I never saw in my life. But
yes.
It was actually pretty good. I guess that might be an English thing, right, Martin? I guess.
I think it probably is, and normally some mayo mixed in with it.
It had mayo too. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was different. That's why I bought it. So it was pretty good. So.
Good, but you weren't over for very long. About 3 days, and you were back.
Yep, I wanted to go home because it was Jack Jr.'s birthday. It was the 24th of June. I wanted to get back. So, but it was a great trip. It was really nice.
Fair enough. So now you weren't back home for very long because, as you said, you're up in Chicago now at the factory in your office there.
Yep.
So what's going on there? Is it all full steam ahead making Harry Potters?
Yeah, I mean, they put me on the line to,
They could use some extra hands.
They asked me, and I said, "You're better off without me. I'll just keep an eye on what's going on." They're going great guns. I mean, they're building games and they're boxing them. And I signed a bunch of games, and I signed some playfields, and I signed a whole bunch of signature cards that go on the CE game, and. Mm-hmm. Did all of that. They got me good with that. I've been in a few meetings, and it's just great. It's a great place to be, and especially when you have a hit game that we're fortunate to have.
And which model or models are currently in production?
Right now, we're building the Arcade Edition and the Wizard Edition, and then we're going to go back and build more CEs. So we're going to rotate. We're going to rotate the 3 of them, and we have. We'll get the second lineup. If you have anybody that's semi-skilled or skilled people, we're hiring. We're looking for some good people to work on the assembly line.
Right. Okay. So
Jonathan, off you go.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you have to be in the Elk Grove Village neighborhood. Or at least Illinois, so to speak.
Well, maybe an hour radius or something like that. People come from distance because it's a good place to work. A lot of nice people here.
Right. So, if you're listening and you're like, I could use a change of scenery on my daily route to work, then this is your chance. If you fancy assembling pinball machines.
If you recently retired and you have nothing to do, your wife wants to throw you out the window, it wouldn't be a bad thing if you know how to use tools, and you could follow directions and you learn workstation. It wouldn't be a bad thing. I didn't know that I was going to come on here and ask people to come to work, but
you never know how things are going to go with us.
We're always hiring. If you guys want to relocate, you're welcome to.
Now we're going back to the me. Yeah,
you can play test the game. You can play test the games, and Jonathan.
I certainly could. That'd be a dream job. I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what could I do? Sorry.
You could ask the games question, Jonathan.
Right.
So I was getting back to the. You're building the arcade version and the Wizard version, going back to collector's edition. You said. Obviously, this is an unusual game in having those three different levels. Has the split in sales of those been more or less what you were expecting when you came up with that 3-tier idea, or has it thrown up some surprises and one sold more than you were expecting?
Well, so far sales are very good. Thank goodness for everybody, all the people that ordered games so far. And the arcade edition is a nice, pleasant surprise because there are several hundred games sold so far and more every day. And I don't know that we would have sold those games because I think it has something to do with the price point and how much is in the game and how much we didn't take out of the game. Like I said, the playfields are all the same, the toys, the rules, everything is the same between the Wizard and the arcade version. So I gave everybody a hard choice.
I think you did, and I think people really appreciate the fact that you haven't dumbed down the cheaper model, the arcade version, and have kept everything on the playfield, which is excellent. I think
a lot of thought and a lot of attention went into the idea and the execution. We have customers, location customers, operators that still put CE games on location. Today, Peter Rose from Brooklyn with his new location. He just texted me a picture of his CE. The box just arrived today, and at some point in the next month or so, we'll do a launch party there. But some locations want the CE; they want the high-end game, and some locations are cost-conscious and they want the arcade edition. And I could tell you that the arcade edition's earning extremely well. If I said the number, somebody would just say it's just not true. But get a game and put it on location and see what it does. It screams take my money to a playing customer on a location. Harry Potter. It's everybody. It appeals to everybody.
Right. So is this a game that you've done movie licenses for various movies, but Harry Potter. Would you say this Harry Potter game is something particularly for movie theaters to put on in their lobbies and what have you for people coming to the movies to play it?
I think that. I think if you put it in a butcher shop, it would make money. I think wherever you put this game, it's going to make money. If there's people there, they're going to want to play it. I think it's just that simple.
Okay. So, America is different to Europe when it comes to locations where people actually can play. I've seen pinball machines placed in pizzerias for takeout, basically, but while you're waiting.
Those are great locations. Pizzerias, laundromats were always good. People have to wait, for their clothes to dry. They're not doing anything. We had cab garages. We had, of course, a bar, like a, bar and grill kind of place. I had a location years ago. It was a hardware store, and the guy liked games, and, he made enough money to pay his rent every month. So it was, they'll go anywhere where there's people, and you don't really disrupt people either. Games, a lot of times the volume is down on the games, and people come with headphones today, and they plug in and they can hear the sound of the game without disturbing people in the location. So a lot of options today that we didn't have years ago.
Right.
Yeah, talking about hardware store reminds me of Logan Hardware downtown in Logan Square.
Right.
How that started out as a hardware store with a hidden arcade at the back that you had to know about to get into before it turned into.
Yeah, it's kind of like Sunshine Laundromat. It's kind of like Sunshine Laundromat, where you have to walk through the door, and all of a sudden the laundromat becomes this beautiful establishment.
Yeah, world famous now, of course, for the quality of the games. So games are going out to customers in dozens or hundreds. Once they started going out, were there any sort of issues which came up with the game which needed to be addressed in later games? I mean, it typically happens that you find a part that the ball gets stuck there and you have to redesign that part, or maybe the bit coming from the vendor wasn't quite right.
I'm gonna knock on wood. I hope that's wood. I'm at the conference. So far, so good. I mean, there really hasn't been much of anything to speak of with the game, which is extremely unusual. I'm always thinking that if I didn't hear something bad, that I just didn't hear it. It happened anyway. But I look at the reports. I talked to a lot of people that have the game, and so far everything's working great on the game. We had a software update. I think last week was 0.73, so we're getting closer to 1.0. It's not a box of lights. It's just Martin. You played it. What did you think of? What did you think of the game as you first started to play it?
Well, I found it a bit of a sensory overload, to be honest. Not in a bad way, but because I wasn't expecting the game to be as fast as it was, and I felt that, having played a couple of games, I'd missed a huge amount that was going on in the game, and in particular on the display. Now, if you remember, when I played it, I didn't even get to see any of those spells that you cast doing the flipper button combos. And I don't know if that's because I didn't start them, or they went on and I was busy doing other things. But the ball moves around so fast on that game and comes out in unexpected ways, partly because of the layout of the game and partly because of that moving staircase feature. It means you're never quite sure where the ball's going to be. I found the flow of it to be excellent, but as I say, it's a game you have to keep your eye on the ball all the time, because it's moving and it's moving fast, and it's not necessarily going to go where you think it's going to go. So I'm sure after you played it, I'm sure after a while you'll get used to it and you'll know where the ball's going to come out. But for me, as a beginner, I couldn't really trap the ball up and look and see what was going on, because it was rolling so fast all the time.
But that score that you got, I'm not sure you can qualify as a beginner.
Well, that was luck, but I don't. Even then, I felt that I just barely scratched the surface of what was going on in the game, because there was so much content in there. Now, I'd only played it two movies or something like that out of the 7. So there's an awful lot more to go, and more multi-balls. And I wanted to play it again, but it's that kind of event where you play your game and then you move out of the way and let the other people, and particularly people who've got the money who might be interested in buying it, give them the chance to play it and experience. And I hope that proved to be a worthwhile visit for you and for the game, and that you gained some orders from that.
It was great. It was great, and Phil and Vicky and little Beatrix as our hosts. It was great, and then afterwards, I thought I was going to a wedding when we went to the country club, and he had the whole dinner for those people.
That was nice.
I really thought we were at a wedding. It was beautiful, and the food was great, and the company was great, and it was really good when I put you on the easy mode in the pinball. In Jersey Jack Pinball Game Changer with the QR code, I put you into easy because I wanted to see what you can do, and you got like a billion too, and the game was doing things that I never saw and that nobody there certainly didn't see, and you had a crowd around you, and it was like, okay, let's see what Martin can do on easy, So you're
giving away the secret now. That yes, it was using that proprietary Game Changer system, which I think is a great idea, and gives you a huge range of options and things you can do in the future with it.
Yeah, it does. And with every game we do, we try to introduce some new technology, and we've been working on that a while. And I think for locations, it's good. For home use, it's good. and you're able to play without being frustrated, and you actually get into the game and learn more. And I think it'll build some new players and get them into the game a little further, because you don't want to get to a certain point and then you lose your ball and you start the game again, and you get to a certain point and just like banging away at a wall, with a little hammer trying to knock down this big stone wall. But
yeah, to me, it seemed like something you could build on in the future if you wanted to go down the personalization route. Rather than having one code that's easy for all your games, you have your personal code, and you set up in your app on the phone what level you want to play at. Yep. So every game I play, I want to be on easy. Okay, then whenever I put my QR code up against the machine, it puts it into easy mode.
Yep.
Other people can have that differently, and it can still, can record your progress as well.
Yeah. And in this case, we have it set now, so it only is the one game that you play. If you push the button, normal play, so it doesn't have any permanent effect on the game itself. Just game by game.
Is this something you could see rolling back into previous games?
Yeah, we talked about that. We can do it. We have all these same operating systems in all the games. If we did it, and we went all the way back to Wizard of Oz and The Hobbit, you'd have to have a camera kit and a new backglass. But it's doable. It's doable. We want to see. We really want to see what the reaction is, and so far the reaction is great.
Yeah, it seems like no downside to it, really. And you're using hardware.
We didn't charge anybody extra. We didn't charge anybody extra for the feature. It's just something that comes with the game.
True, and makes better use of hardware that's already there.
Exactly.
Right. So now the game's up and running, and there are no issues with it, and you're churning them out and sending them out to all the customers. Is that basically it for the design team? And
that's it. We all go on vacation now, and then you don't have to worry about it. Well, now the really hard work comes. We don't run a sprint. We run a marathon. So now you're building games, you're shipping games, you're selling more games. As we ship more games, we sell more games because more people see it in the wild. They play it, they want to buy it, or they want to order it to operate it. And it's really a sweet spot to sit. It doesn't happen often. I've had it happen to me before in the past with other games, but it doesn't happen often enough. But it's great. When it happens, you're very appreciative, and everybody's happy with all the hard work and energy and effort they put into it.
Right. So you'll be going around the shows promoting the game. You and Eric, and I guess, and other design team members as well. I think the Dutch will probably have JP will be there, and Olaf maybe.
I don't know if I'll make it to Dutch Pinball Open this year because I'll be at IAPA. And IAPA overlaps Dutch Pinball Open. If you see me at Dutch Pinball Open, it only means that I'm there like a day and a half. And I was looking at flights, and they're ridiculous. The flights are ridiculously expensive right now. So I'll see what happens in the next week. It's a lot cheaper. So we'll see. I'm not saying no. I'd love to be there. I had a blast last year. The venue was great. The people are great. I got picked up in a Rolls Royce, and it was wonderful.
Oh, you too? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hired that guy for the entire weekend.
And he was there the whole weekend too.
Very nice. Now, one of the things which wasn't fully programmed when I was playing it was the topper on the CE. Isn't it? Judging by some of the social media posts I've seen, it's coming along in leaps and bounds, and more is being added to that. Where is that at the moment? Because I think people were saying it doesn't really. When they saw it, it wasn't doing very much at that time.
Well, the projector wasn't working in the beginning. It wasn't programmed, and lighting wasn't programmed. So there's some other features on there that aren't programmed too. There's a mechanical feature that's not programmed yet. It's a pretty cool topper. It's one we have made for Harry Potter for dogs.
So far,
everybody's opinion is valuable and subjective, but I think it looks pretty cool. I'm happy with it.
So you're saying people should wait to see how it ends up then?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, the pie isn't baked yet. Leave it in the oven a little bit more. It's almost there. You're almost ready for it. Almost.
Okay, well, we talked to you last month when the game was revealed. Obviously, you had a very successful launch. Congratulations!
Thank you.
Especially on a title that so many people had high expectations of, and it looked like people are really pleased with the game. So, congrats with that as well. Any reports from operators that are already operating the game on location, where it's, I assume, is getting a lot of play, or any of the pinball shows?
Well, at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo, the game won Game of the Year. So, I don't know how much...
And we still have 6 months to go.
Yeah, I don't know how much is behind that. It's very humbling. It's very nice that I could say we have an award-winning game. We'll take it. We'll take it. I'm not above that. It's great. The locations that have it, remember, there's only... As we're talking, there's only about 25 arcade editions out there in the wild, which is nothing. And I said, right now, they're on the line right now. So in another week, there'll be a lot more. In another week, there'll be a lot more. So as they get out, guys are seeing what they are. The players are seeing what they are, and the cash box is filling up, and the bill acceptors are filling up, and the swipe cards are dinging credits. So I expect really great things, and great things are happening. So we're very appreciative, and we're very humble about it, and we're just keeping our nose and our head down, and we're doing our work, what we have to do, get more games out there.
Right. I mean, one of the things which I think I've spoken to you about before, but other people have mentioned to me that they don't quite understand how the allocation of collector's edition games is decided, because they're described as being built to order, but there isn't a defined number that's going to be made, or at least not publicly. So what is there a limit? Do you decide at some point, okay, we're going to close this out, last orders for collector's editions, and then that's it? Or are you going to keep building them as long as people want them?
Well, we're gonna have a date, and we're gonna call it, and we'll give people a notice. They'll have a certain period of time. They'll know when it ends, and that's it. They're limited to that time period, and they're built, as you say, they're built to order. And it's hard getting all of them out. You want to really get them all out at once, but we can't. Some people are going to wait. The people that ordered first, they're going to get first, and the people that ordered later will get it later, and the people who are eventually, the end of the line gets to the front of the line. There's an ice cream store not far from my house that we go to often, and not often enough, but we go often. And you walk in there, and you get like number 12, and they're at number 14. So you got to wait like 100 numbers to come back around to you. Like how could they be at number 16? I just put 12 out of the machine, and I'm like, holy crap, And I was in In-N-Out Burger in Vegas, and they went through 95 orders in a minute. In a minute? No, not in a minute. In a half hour, they went through 95 orders. I was like, wow, wouldn't it be great if I could make pinball machines at that speed? I'm wacky because everything I relate to the company, and I'm going somewhere. I'm like, okay, they did 95 orders in a half hour. Jeez, wow. If you build. Somebody asked me today, how many games do you build a day? I said, not enough. That's how many. But again, it's a problem. It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. There are people that aren't building anything, or selling anything. So. Again, we're not bragging. It's just a great thing. You work to get something, and everybody worked very hard to make the game. And it's nice to see people smiling, playing the game, and see all the social media posts and everybody happy with the game.
Is it not advantageous to you to have the sort of a steady stream of games being manufactured rather than having a big rush of games being built at once, as far as stock control goes and quality control?
Martin, I wish it was that way all the time. It's just not. The nature of this whole thing is when you change in models, you get an effect like whiplash, because you're changing gears and you're going between different production. You got to change all the parts on the line. You got to retrain people, and then you're building what you're building. And like Elton John is a great game, and we'll be ordering more parts to build more Elton John games because the demand is there. So maybe that'll go on one of the lines, and we'll be building Harry Potter on the other line. You got to go what the market wants, and you got to go with what the market doesn't know it wants yet. You have to anticipate things because you're ordering parts in the thousands, and you're taking a best guess on what you need. So there's a lot that goes into it, and to keep everything running and everything the way they do, it's a lot of energy and a lot of effort that everybody puts into it to keep the line running and keep games coming in, parts coming in, and games going out. But that's what we do.
I guess every part has a unique lead time on it. Some things will be weeks, some of them will be months.
And today, with the way the supply chain has been since COVID, before COVID it was just in time. During COVID, it was just in case. You ordered parts just in case. And you needed to stock different things. You had different vendors, had different problems, different issues. And after COVID, there's different vendors and different problems, different issues. You can get something, I said this many times, you can get something from a vendor that's made perfectly before and open a box that comes in the following week and then made wrong because somebody different interpreted a drawing differently. They bent something a certain way that wasn't called in the drawing. They didn't. There's a million stories. Everybody that makes anything can write a book on all the stories, and they're all the same story. It's human error. People aren't perfect. I'm not perfect, and it's not a perfect world. And things are going to be made wrong, and it happens. But that's why you inspect things when they come in, hopefully weeks and months before they need to get to the line, because if you didn't inspect something and you bring it to the line and it's bad, guess what? The line's shut down for a long time because the vendor isn't going to just turn around and make something for you. They may not be local, and they may not be able to fit it into their schedule. So a lot of logistics, a lot of planning goes into it. It's not easy, but it's what we do. It's kind of fun, actually, to accomplish those things.
Right. So, to bring up a completely different subject, you usually attend the licensing show in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
I believe there was one, I believe either last month or end of May, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not going to ask you any specifics about future games, but you as a manufacturer entered this industry in 2010, and you already had a license by then. But since then, many other pinball companies came and some went as well. Can you talk about how the licensing climate has changed for pinball companies now that there are so many more companies attempting to get licenses?
Yeah, well, they're not attempting. Some of them are getting licenses, which is good. I haven't. There's nothing so far that I wanted that was in play that I lost to anybody. So luckily, we've been successful with the things we wanted. There are things that I wish we could get that we can't because other people were there before me and they got them, or they had a relationship I didn't have, or they had luck that I didn't have, or they paid maybe more than I would have paid. And maybe I didn't know.
List those companies now and tell
maybe
them
what
titles you're.
Well, there's a couple of companies that have a couple of things that I would love to have, and I believe we would do them better because I'm Jersey Jack, and I have to say something like that. I wish them the best with what they have, and it's become a more difficult landscape because you have competition, which is something that I'm happy about. I encourage competition. When you had one person doing anything, you can't have an auction with one person. Nobody's bidding against you. It's like there's no real, nobody's twisting your arm to make something better if you're the only one making it. I asked for certain licenses. Some things are not available. Our category is different than a lot of categories. If you were making a Halloween costume, you make the costume and it's approved. If you're doing the famous lunch boxes and simple things like T-shirts, you go to them with a design that's out of their style guide. You show it to them. It's approved. It's done. You're finished. With our category, which is amusement games, there's a lot of different versions that you submit for approval, and they're iterated. So you might have a concept for artwork for the playfield. You might have a concept for artwork for the backglass and for the animation and things like that. And you have to submit everything to people that a lot of times are not familiar with what we do and how we do it. And they're going to approve it or not approve it or tell you to change things and make this lighter, make that darker. And you say, well, this is an image right from your style guide. And they say, well, we want something. We want it to be, the blue is not the right color. So make it a different shade of blue, and it's their image and likeness that's in their style guide. So you have a lot of that. You have a lot of other people trying to get licenses that you're trying to get, and the only way that I've been successful, well, not the only way. The biggest way I've been successful is by proving what we made in the past and what we would make in the future, to represent their intellectual property in the best way, in the best integration, in the best effort, and the best of every aspect of what we do. And I believe we have the edge on that. It's not that I believe that other people's games aren't as good as ours, but I believe we make a great product to represent the IP for the license that I'm going for.
Right. So now, as you said, designing a pinball machine with all its artwork and use of clips and so on, it's a very big task, and that's an understatement, I believe. Have you ever dealt with a company that said, like, oh no, we're not doing pinball because that's too much trouble for the licensing department, we're staying away from that, forget it?
I haven't had that yet. It wouldn't surprise me if one day somebody said that to me. And a lot of the licensors, if you're successful making a lot of games, they stand to make millions of dollars in royalties. And it's a lot of money for us, but it may not be a lot of money for them, because they're making, a lot of money from doing other things. A lot of companies have streaming services and cable companies and all kinds of other interests. When you look at companies like Disney, and I think MGM is owned by Amazon right now, and you look at companies that have other properties like Microsoft, Nintendo, Sega, Paramount, Warner Brothers. You're dealing with a lot of big companies. They're not really little companies. And even though you're giving them a lot of money, it's really not a lot of money to them. So they do appreciate you. I mean, everything adds up and all the licensing they do, I'm sure. But our contribution to their company is not going to move the stock. It's not going to be at the bottom line of an annual report. It's not going to move the needle much. But having said that, they look at what we do as, in some ways, as a vanity project, because it gets their brand out there. It's a different vehicle. It's living, breathing. It's something that's in the public domain. It brings attention to the brand, and they can brag that somebody made a pinball machine. There are a lot of people call me, email me every week. Every week, if I don't get two suggestions for a game this week, I'll get 4 of them next week. Everybody and their grandma wants to fly jets. Everybody and their grandma wants to design a pinball machine, or has an idea for a pinball machine, or told me something that I knew already. And respectfully, I say thank you. We might be working on that already, but it's people's passion. I had somebody send me plans to a pinball machine, handwritten plans, and there was so much detail. I sent the guy a note, and I sent him some goodies and a shirt and a hat and stuff like that. And I said thank you, but probably won't be able to do that. But then there are bands, there are people that represent movies, different properties, licensing agents that are getting in touch with me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or every different way to get a pinball machine. And you can't do it. I can't. We could do all of them, and some of them really don't make a pinball machine. You can't make a pinball machine out of something that they're asking me to make a pinball machine because there's no story. There's no story to tell. Got to develop a story, and you might as well do. It's not a strong license. Let me just say that.
Right. I mean, it's interesting what you're saying about people sending you playfield drawings, and because I don't know if it's an apocryphal story or not, but it always used to be said that Williams, for instance, would never open any drawings that were sent to them in case those ideas in those drawings ended up in their games and people claimed that they were stolen from submissions.
Yeah. Well, you don't know
whether
what
that's
you're
true or not. I don't know.
You don't know what you're opening when you're opening it. And
yeah.
The funny thing is that when we have people visit the factory all the time, and I found some drawings of a Harry Potter game drawn by like 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kids from years ago from New Jersey when they visited the factory. And I put a bunch of them up on Facebook, social media, like a few weeks ago. And I said, these people wanted a Harry Potter game. None of the ideas were used, but it's kind of cute. You want to encourage young people to love pinball and to get to know pinball and to play pinball. And what better way is there for, a kid to make a drawing with different characters and lines and circles that could make a playfield kind of thing. It's very cute.
But 2 weeks ago, we were fortunate enough to have an interview with Daniel Janson of Pinball Brothers, and we were talking about their Predator game and the fact that they had a previous working relationship with, Fox, as it was before, and is now Disney, of course, and how that impacted on their relationship when it came to negotiating or working with the company for Predator. You obviously got a very strong working relationship with Warner Brothers from your previous titles. Is that something which helps you when it comes time to start working on or start talking to them about the next game you want to make?
Well, I'm going to be silly and say it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, for sure. As I've said before, I make friends, and I just say friends, I say acquaintance, a business acquaintance, but you develop relationships with people in the company, and I developed those relationships on a lot of different levels. And people that were not senior vice presidents or executive vice presidents or presidents or people like that, years ago they were down a few rungs on the ladder, and now they're higher up in the company. So it doesn't hurt to have those relationships. And sometimes they leave a company and they go somewhere else, and you can pick up business right with them at the other place they go to. So it's I don't want to say it's like playing a game, but you got to keep your relationships in good order, and I don't burn any bridges, and you're able to leverage those relationships and the experience. People hear about what you did at another company, and they call you up and they say, "Hi, I know you did XYZ with ABC, and we'd like to work with you." And sometimes the opportunity's there, and sometimes you have to put it off until you can execute on it, because I don't want to be holding on to 20 licenses and paying minimum guarantees just to sit on something. I want to, whatever I have, we want to be working on or close to working on, and go from there. Because in theory, if you got a license for 3 years and your minimum guarantee was $500,000, and you didn't produce a game, you paid $500,000 for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to do that. That's not a good thing to do.
No, it seems to me, and I almost hate myself for even suggesting this, that because you, as a company, invest so much into each of your new releases, that's why it takes a year plus to bring them to market. But they are so packed full of, I don't want to say assets, but effort, I suppose, and skill. Almost think, couldn't you do a sub-brand where you can, those titles where you can't justify investing that amount of time and effort into a year or 2 years even development time into producing a big title? You do a smaller title.
Well, Martin, thank you for saying that. I do appreciate that. And the simple answer to the question, even though it's a great question, is that there are people already doing those kind of games now. I mean, there are people making those kind of games, and they're being welcomed in a certain way by the customer base. So you really need to define who you are and what you're doing. You can't be everything to everybody. Even though I'm trying to be everything to everybody with 3 models of Harry Potter. So if we were to make a game that would be a simple game with no ramps on it, and try to develop that, we have to have a different platform than what we have now, and you have to invest in the time and the people and the energy to do that, to make the game like a retro kind of game, take the monitor out of it and do some different things, or do alphanumeric and everything. It wasn't my original idea when I started the company. I could have gotten the license to do Medieval Madness and done remakes. I mean, I helped Rick. Rick didn't know anybody at Midway. I introduced him to Roger Sharp, and Roger Sharp helped him get the license and everything to do those games. So, it could have been me doing it instead of him. I didn't want to make something, and there's not anything wrong with it. I didn't want to make what was already made. I wanted to, Ralph Waldo Emerson, go where there is no road, and go where there is no path. Go where there is no road and leave a path. Right? I could have gone down the easier road that traveled and done a remake, or I could have just said, well, why am I going to do that? If we were making washing machines, you design engineer the greatest washing machine you can make, and then you build that for the next 10 years. We're in an industry where we take about 60% of the game, and we make a new game every time. And our games are expensive because of what is in them and what it took us to make them, and the time and the labor to build it and put it together. And yeah, you know what? We have to make some kind of profit because we have a lot of people to pay and bills like every other company. So we try to be fair. We try not to be, over where we are. People to me, I thought with Harry Potter I was going to pay like $20,000 for a CE, and I expected to pay Pirelli, and we're not going to do that. We're not about that. We're trying to make the greatest game we could possibly make at a price where we could stay in business. And that's where we are.
Okay. Well, I'd say that I hated myself for even suggesting you produce a lesser game. in any way. But
I will say this more. I will say this, Martin. We get a lot of people that want to do 2 or 3 games. You know, a big company will call, they're doing a trade show, and somebody gets a very crazy idea. Can you make us 5 games of this, you know, our brand? You know, and we can't. Yeah. Maybe a guy like Joe DeRusso can do that. You know, he's got a printer, and he'll take an electromechanical game that doesn't have any speech or any animation or video, and they'll cover the whole game with beautiful graphics, and you'll have a Jaguar pinball machine or something like that. You know, you could do that, but when you bring in a monitor and you bring in speech and you bring in all the crazy stuff that we have in a game, to do 5 games, yeah, I guess we can do it for about $2 million a game. Yeah, give us about a year or so, and I'll hire a whole other crew of people to do it.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the costs that go into producing a game, and I guess this wouldn't be a pincast unless we bring up the thorny issue of tariffs on imported items into the US, and how that has impacted on your business plan, I suppose, or indeed hasn't. Whether you haven't been that impacted by the vagaries of how much parts are going to cost when you import them.
No, it's affected us greatly, and it's painful. You can't raise your prices even though things went up, and you have to eat it, and it's going to come off the bottom line. And we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. July 9th is one of those days, I think. Who knows what's going to happen? We're going to see how it goes. We'll act accordingly. There's no plan to raise prices or anything like that. We certainly, we're in the same boat as a lot of companies around the world. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Okay. Well,
buy your games now. You know. Yeah. What I say in Texas, I said, don't spend any money.
Don't buy any game. Yeah.
Don't buy any games until you know. And the people listen to me some people listen to me, but they kept buying Jersey Jack games. I can tell you that. They bought Avatar, they bought Elton John, they bought whatever we have in stock on our distributors. The distributors didn't get mad at me for saying that. So some of our competitors got mad at me for saying that, but that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah,
they probably got mad because I didn't think of it first.
Well, at least what I said was true. I think it was true. I mean, I didn't say something that I didn't believe. Listen, once in a while I'm entitled to my own opinion too, and I would say it. It's my opinion. So.
Right.
Right. Well, it's good to see that you. Sorry?
Do you have any more questions for Jack?
No, I was just going to say that it's good to see that you have such a hit game on your hands, and you will be making it for a long, long time, and there will be hopefully many coming off the line as well. I haven't played it yet, so I'm still looking forward to it. Martin played it.
Martin played it. He beat it up a little bit. He got it to do all kinds of things.
I'm looking forward to playing it again. I'd have to find out where it's available to play now.
Well, we're going to be delivering one. We're going to be delivering one to a couple of Mina Lima stores in London.
Oh, right, okay. That's
so by the end of July. By the end of July, they'll be in Mina Lima stores, and you'll see more of them
from my office.
Well, I know what you'll be doing on your lunch hour then.
Well, I think it could turn into a lunch 2 hour. Yes.
But the games you play, yeah. And you still haven't eaten lunch.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
Eduardo and his wife are on social media today. They put up.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
Been watching that earlier. Yeah, I saw the little video you published. Very nice.
You know, when you think about all the different people involved and all the different talents, and it's just amazing. I think about when I started repairing pinball machines so many years ago. It was just not much. You look at a game like Jumpin' Jacks or High-Low Ace or all the games that I worked on, Magnetron and Duotron and Space Lab and all those games like that. And they were great. They're still great. And you look at what we're doing today, it's just, I wonder what those guys and girls would say if they were here today to see what pinball developed into. I wonder if they would just think I was crazy to begin what I began, or they would just be cheering us on. I'd like to think they'd be cheering us on.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, even back then, competition was the driver of innovation. And
how many pinball companies were there at one time? How many were there? You guys are historians. How many were there?
Well,
simultaneously.
Depends what. In the 50s and 60s, there were quite a few, actually. If you're talking 100 years ago, there were hundreds of companies. But then we're talking about people building bagatelle type of games or pre-war games that didn't require electricity. You'd be surprised how many companies were building pinball machines and ripping off each other games as well. But that was way easier, of course. So.
I still laugh at what the first tilt mechanism was that Harry Williams made.
Yeah, the spikes through the bottom.
Yeah, he drove nails through the bottom of the cabinet. So when you hit the bottom of the cabinet, you got a handful of nails.
Simple but effective, I guess.
All right, guys, it's great talking.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jack. Jersey Jack Granari, thank you for joining us here on the Pinball Industry News PINcast.
That was a very, far more lengthy interview than we anticipated.
Isn't that always the way?
Well, yeah, indeed. So,
but all good stuff. I think all useful
definitely.
information, and give you a good insight into what's going on over at Jersey Jack Pinball.
Right, and remember where you heard it, at the Pinball Magazine and Pinball News PINcast. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And also, was one of the things I mentioned on there in that interview was Jersey Jack Pinball have been on their social media feeds have been have an interview or a short featurette with the couple who are behind Mina Lima. It is Mira for Mina and Eduardo Lima. So that couple together with their surnames make Mina and Lima.
Right.
And it was the name of the company. And talk about their involvement in the Harry Potter Collector's Edition cabinet and backbox artwork. And how the idea was put to them originally and how they came to embrace it and create the artwork for the game.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice. Well, do check that out. So, and since we just had one interview, we might as well throw in another one. This one is not particularly related to Jersey Jack Pinball. So you might wonder, what is
not at all.
No. So you might be wondering, what is it about? Well, we wonder, what's cooking with
Jeff Teolis. Jeff Teolis of Pinball Profile fame. Jeff was over at the European Pinball Championships in Austria last month, where he was both interviewing people and also playing. Because if you don't know, Jeff is also a very talented pinball player. He's also a radio personality. He has a great voice. He has a great interview technique. So he was talking to all kinds of people. In fact, he even interviewed me. First time in all these years. But I turned the tables on him and got a chance to sit down and talk with Jeff and find out what's cooking with Jeff Teolis. So we're joined by Pinball Profile's Jeff Teolis, and what's cooking with you, Jeff?
The dream thing to cook, but you can't do it all the time, is to get like a big tom. It's a big kettle.
I know them, yeah.
To deep fry a turkey, but then you got to get rid of the oil. It's messy and stuff. So here's a better one for you, Martin. Okay. Put away the air fryer. I know it's easy, but you're going to do this. I was inspired by a Mongolian grill. Wonderful little restaurant. Mm-hmm. Super hot food. So what you do is you can do it on a barbecue. And what you do is you take a nice flank steak, thin being the key here. Slice it really thin. Then you heat up a wok extremely hot.
Yes.
You don't need to put the meat in right away. What you're going to be doing is putting in some of your vegetables. For me, it's shredded carrots, it's celery. I like white mushrooms and stuff.
Yes.
Sprinkle it with a little bit of ginger, garlic, whether it be powder or actually shaved garlic, teriyaki sauce. Get that a little nice and hot. Then you can throw in the meat, and you top it off right when it's kind of nice and hot and cooked a little bit. Throw on some bean sprouts. You don't want to overcook the bean sprouts.
No.
You put that in a nice soft tortilla shell, or maybe on top of a white rice. Delicious. My wife loves it. So
does it have a name?
Yes, it's the only thing I know how to cook by Jeff Teolis.
Excellent. Well, that's what's cooking with Jeff Teolis. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thanks, Martin.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Jeff. Yes, fantastic.
I definitely got to try that. It sounds very, 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 very nice.
You might take your life in your hands if you do that. But yeah, make sure you use appropriate protective wear when doing that. Yeah, thanks for Jeff. And those, of course, anybody who was watching the IFPA World Pinball Championships that have just finished last weekend will have seen Jeff commentating on the final on the JDL pinball stream. He was a remote contributor. He was in his home in Canada, but he was thanks to the new JDL pinball facility. They can now have people call in. I don't know, to either Zoom or Teams or whatever, and be part of the commentary team, even if they're not actually at the venue, but by watching the stream. So very nice feature there. So congratulations to everybody involved in the JDL pinball stream coverage of the IFPA World Championship last weekend. And thanks again to Jeff for doing our latest What's Cooking With.
Yes, thank you very much, Jeff. And we're moving on with back to the news of June last month, Pinball Industry News, that is. Barrels of Fun is, of course, promoting June, their latest title, which was revealed 2 months ago. David Van Ness, the CEO of the company, or Chief Mischief Behavior, or whatever it is.
Mischief Maker?
Yeah, that's the one. Was a special guest at the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show and the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. And at the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show, he also did a seminar with Butch Peel on the making of June.
Yep, indeed. Yeah.
And I believe those seminars are also available to watch on YouTube. Don't have a URL, but just look that up. Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show, and then you probably find them quick enough. And
they do a very, very, very professional streaming operation there for the seminars.
Yes, so
our recording. I'm not sure they're streamed. They are recorded, I think.
Right. So, and then there's some code news from Barrels of Fun as well.
Yes, that's right. They've added 6 new prophecy modes to June in the most recent software update. This was demonstrated by Carl D'Angelo over at IE Pinball in a comprehensive stream where he you through the rules of Dune and demoed these new modes, and they certainly add a huge amount to it. So I would encourage you, if you're watching recordings of the seminar at Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show, to also go to IE Pinball, either on YouTube or on their Twitch channel, and have a look at Carl demoing the new prophecy modes in Dune.
That rounds it up already for Pinball. Obviously, they're building Dune. The game is being sent to locations. So if you are near an arcade that has a new Dune, go out and play it, because it's a really fun game to play, and it definitely deserves a shot or two, I would say.
Yes, it's pretty intense gameplay at the moment, I think, with all the lighting effects that are going on and the amazing mechanisms in the game. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely play it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So moving on then.
I suppose Stern Pinball.
Yes, they're still there. Yes, that's right. Only the biggest pinball manufacturer. Been very busy this month, actually. Lots of code we'll get to a bit later, but also some new products and a bit of a celebration. So let's start with their new topper, which is a sort of at the moment it can be a non-game specific Stern pinball logo, or it can be more game specific. But it's a not very basic. It's a more basic topper, which is really just a flat plate, acrylic plate, logo or the game name printed on it, and some RGB expression lighting from the bottom, which is tied into the game.
Right.
Now, this is only available so far for the Star Wars game, which can either have the Star Wars game name plate in it, or it can have Stern pinball plate.
Right, which is just with the Stern logo on it.
Yes, that's all. Yeah. So that could fit on any game, but obviously because it's RGB controlled lighting, expression lighting, it needs to be supported in the code. And so far, Star Wars is the only game which has it supported.
Right. Because
it also has its own plate. We're used to toppers costing in the region of $1,500 to even $2,000.
Well, I still remember the days that they were like a few $100, but
yes, well, that's true.
Stern have been milking the topper markets for sure. And
be careful saying that. I got in trouble for suggesting they were milking anything. So, but not. No, they are making the most of it, shall we say? But the opportunity.
Right.
And these new, more basic toppers, they come in two parts. There's the lit part, which is the base bit which holds the plate, and then you can buy the plate separately. Which also, I guess, means that you could buy the base and add your own plate to it.
Right.
So you could have your own logo, or you could have an entirely different game's logo on it if you wanted to really confuse people.
Right. Put a Star Wars topper on Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and vice versa. Yeah.
Right. So it also opens up a whole new aftermarket of topper mods that fit this system.
Yes, that's right. I mean, the base with the lighting in it, which is tied in, I guess it has an expression lighting system and a node board, probably, or it plugs into an existing node board. But that costs $400. The actual plate with the name on it, or the Stern logo on it, that's another $100. So if you want to get the whole thing, it's $500.
Right.
If you only want to get the base, you can do that and get, as you were saying, Jonathan, get a third-party plate that fits it once they start to be produced, which they haven't been yet.
No.
But as I said, it's because it's got RGB illumination effects, it needs to have new code for that game to work with it, so it lights it up appropriate to what's going on in the game, and indeed turns it dark at key points of the game as well. So at the moment, only one game, Star Wars, but expect to see, as we saw with various other add-ons like expression lighting things, and trying to think entirely connected when that first came out. New code comes out for a whole raft of new games which incorporate this new topper system. So look out for that later when we have to update you with 27 different code updates, all of which are just to add the topper support. So that's the new topper. There is, Stern, as we know, have been putting some games into the vault, which means that they are basically out of circulation, out of production for at least 2 years.
Yeah, which doesn't mean that Stern doesn't have any in stock, but they're not building.
Absolutely not. That's right. Yeah, it probably means that the license has run out. But that's speculation. But one of the games that's going into the vault very soon is Iron Maiden, and of course Stern have been promoting that game in order to clear existing stock. Rather oddly, they kind of call it a celebration that the game is going into the vault. Not sure I'd agree with that, celebrating not making the game anymore. It seems a sort of mournful thing, really, that you won't be able to make them anymore. Or at least not for 2 more years at least. But anyway, Stern is celebrating that fact that goes into the vault and promoting Iron Maiden and basically telling you if you want one, get it now, because if you won't be any more around, which may or may not be true. But distributors probably will have them for some time to come. But hey, it gives them a chance to push the game a bit more.
Right. So, and then last month we reported on a sweepstake promotion that Stern was running, where you could win a Metallica remastered pinball game. Apparently, that was very successful for them. While the Metallica remastered sweepstake is coming to an end, Stern already announced your chance to win a Dungeons and Dragons Pro pinball machine. Basically the same concept. You have to subscribe to the Stern Pinball newsletter or the Insider Connected, whatever it's called. And even if you're an existing or already registered, you have to apparently re-register yourself or confirm that you are registered in order to make or have a chance to win a Dungeons and Dragons Pro pinball machine. So, just so you know, yes. And again, this is for US residents only.
Boo, boo! That's not very fair, is it?
No, it's not. But oh well, what are you gonna do? So, and I'm curious whether they are doing this because they didn't register the previous owners of who registered for this newsletter in such a way that they can actually send them newsletters, or with some legal stuff that people might get confused about, or I don't know. But apparently it pays off, and so if you're interested in a pinball machine or a newsletter, then well, you know what to do.
Good luck if you enter the sweepstake.
Yes. So, and then there were two milestone birthdays at Stern Pinball celebrated last month.
Not Cornerstone.
Sorry?
Not Cornerstone, then?
Milestone. No, Milestone, yes.
Ah, right, okay.
So, Gary Stern, founder of the company, celebrated his 80th birthday. And I remember that we interviewed, well, congratulations, first of all, to Gary. I still remember we recorded quite an in-depth and unusual interview with Gary Stern when he turned 75, and that seems like it was yesterday.
It does. Yeah, 5 years ago. Wow. It means we've been doing this that long. And
oh my God. Don't remind me. So, and the other birthday that was celebrated simultaneously, I have to say, because Stern tried to turn it into some sort of a media event. I think they had distributors invited in the factory, and a video edit was posted on social media. The other person celebrating a birthday was George Gomez, vice president of game design, and he celebrated his 70th birthday.
Wow!
And congratulations. Sorry?
He doesn't look a day over 60.
No. Congratulations to George as well, of course.
Absolutely. Congratulations to both of them.
Yeah. So, oddly enough, in the video edit that was published, Seth Davis was talking as well as Gary Stern. I don't know what George said because everything he said was cut or never made the video. Oh well. But I'm sure they had both great birthdays.
And nice looking cake as well. So congratulations again. Okay. Right. Well, to celebrate both their birthdays and also the Iron Maiden going into the vault, we do some new code.
Ooh.
I've been loving this. He's been waiting for it all week. Well, all month, in fact.
I may have some code-related news as well.
Ah, okay. I'll start. Oh, go on then.
There's a rumor going around that Wei Sin Cheng has left Stern Pinball and is now working at Raw Thrills. And while we are recording this, I did check Wason's LinkedIn page. It still says he's working at Stern, so this is just a rumor, but if true, then he would be the second programmer to leave Stern and head for the Raw Thrills family, so to speak, because Tim Sexton left a couple of months ago and he's working at Play Mechanics.
Yes, and we understood previously that Wason would be taking over some of Tim's work on John Wick. Maybe, no, I'm not going to speculate on any of that because John Wick is one of the updates we have this month.
Right.
So we'll start off with King Kong, of course, the current title. Actually had two code updates on the 19th and the 24th. Lots of rule changes and bug fixes in the first of those. But unfortunately, it introduced a couple of ball lock bugs, which were fixed in the hotfix version 0.84, which came out just a few days later. Dungeons and Dragons, previous game, is at version 0.92. That had an update, fairly moderate update with lots of fixes. The main one being making the dragon letters easier to spell out than they were after the last update. When we first saw the game, Janson was very, very keen to point out exactly how easy it was to start Dragon Multi-Wheels by shooting the dragon a few times. Well, that was made a lot harder, but apparently made too hard. So this most recent update makes it a bit easier to get those dragon letters and start Dragon Multi-Ball. John Wick, which we were just talking about, that had an update. It was actually a big update this time with lots of rule changes, some new faction perks for completing some of the job modes, and lots of bug fixes because apparently there were a lot of bugs that needed fixing. That was a long-awaited update. Another long-awaited update was for the Uncanny X-Men, which came out with version 0.91. Large update with many new and changed rules, and they added the whole future mode, which people have been speculating how that was going to work. Well, now when completing a mode in the past, you can travel to the future for a timed mode, which allows you to destroy a certain number requires you to destroy a certain number of sentinels and escape to go back to the past. If you don't do it, then you get sent back to the past anyway, but without collecting a perk to your current character, which is a sort of power-up feature. There are also quite a few bug fixes in this version as well. Star Wars, we were just talking about that, had a new version, 1.28. As far as we can see, pretty much just adds support for this new, more basic topper, for the expression lighting topper.
Yeah, that we just discussed.
And finally, one that came out literally just as I was making these notes finishing these notes, I should say, about an hour ago. Metallica Remastered got an update, version 1.02, which added a few new adjustment settings, several gameplay bug fixes, and some fixes for things that in the service menu. Curiously, it doesn't include anything to do with this new topper. So
it might still come in future updates.
Yeah, but they just brought it out, at almost the same time as they're announcing the new topper. You think having a Metallica one, and particularly for a game like Metallica Remastered, where neither version of the game actually has a topper at the moment. So or didn't come with one, shall we say? You can buy one, but it wasn't included with even the limited edition. So hopefully we'll see that soon, or if not, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people making aftermarket ones. And that's the code updates for Stern Pinball for June.
Right. Okay. So next up is Dutch Pinball, also operating under the brand of Dutch Pinball Exclusive, or DPX in short. A little bit of news. The current game in production is, of course, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which is a project that Melvin Brower Williams brought into the company. For them, the big news last month was that if you've seen the game, you know that all the plastics, the 3D plastics, are designed by the Art of Pinball. And that collaboration apparently turned out so well that Melvin Williams teamed up with Lior, who owns the Art of Pinball, to become a co-owner of the Art of Pinball. And right after that news, they also announced a new agreement with Planetary, which is the licensor for Bally Williams games. From up to 2000, and they will be allowed to produce mods and parts for classic Bally Williams titles, and it could be anything from that massive catalog. So it could be the 90s games, of course, that we all know and love so much, especially Pop Pie comes to mind, and
who doesn't?
Bugs Bunny's birthday ball.
Oh, hang on, this is overload, and too excited here. Taking all the good ones.
Yeah. I kid, of course. But so anyway, what they also mentioned is some of the parts that the Art of Pinball is creating under this new agreement will include lolly boards from Davy Price's Stumbler Pinball. I forgot to look up what that exactly means, but
it's a little microcontroller board which, for instance, if you have like a pop bumper, then you're using their Stumbler illumination LEDs like around the top. Well, this lolly board allows you to be reactive, so it ties into the switch closures as well. So the animations of the LEDs tie in with when the pop bumper is activated and how often. So it does different patterns. And it could not just that, but it can be all different parts of the playfield. Can all have that like slingshot posts. For instance, they can have multiple LEDs under them, which animate when the slingshot fires.
Right.
And if it's firing a lot, then they can speed up and go faster. It's a clever little bit of tech, and be nice to see that more widely available.
Right. Well, and to make them available, these new products will be sold through distributor CoinTaker and Planetary Pinball, and in Australia by Mr. Pinball Australia. And the Art of Pinball is
in Europe.
The Art of Pinball is going to announce additional new partnerships in the coming months. So that could be European distributors. It also could be that Dutch Pinball or DPX will be a distributor for those parts for at least the Netherlands. But that hasn't been confirmed. That's just pure speculation on my end. So.
Oh well, we look forward to seeing where what these products are and when we can get them,
right? And
where we can get them,
right? And there was some more news regarding the production of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which have been confirmed by DPX. Issues with quality, quantity, and timing of certain parts resulted in Dutch Pinball exclusives switching to a new supplier. Well, you know what that means, months of delay. Yeah. A sample topper from the new supplier is on its way to, or was on its way to DPX for approval. And to avoid the games being held up that were ready already, DPX will ship a batch of 19 games by boat and 6 games, I think, by air, without toppers, and the toppers will be sent out at a later date once all the parts are in. So that's mostly topper-related delays. Quite fitting.
I'm sure, as we were talking about before, getting games to the US at the moment is problematic, and timing could be critical. especially if tariffs, significant tariffs are imposed on imports from the European Union, which would include Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So yes, if they want to get the games over in a timely manner, then being held up by not having a topper could be an expensive issue. So of course, whether this is just toppers or whether there's other things as well, we don't know. But you may remember that when the game was launched, Melvin sort of had a self-imposed deadline to deliver games to buyers by the end of the year, or offer them a refund of their deposits and give them a chance to back out if they without losing their deposit, which previously the deposit paid was non-refundable. So it'd be interesting to see whether they get all those games made and shipped to buyers by the end of the year, given these delays, which, as you said, could be weeks or months.
Yeah, well, if you're basically sacking one supplier and you have to find a new one, and they have to make samples to see if their quality is up to par. If they're not next door, it could take months before you get a product that you're satisfied with. So.
Yeah, and you have to fit in with their existing production schedule. They're not going to drop everything and just produce, 300 toppers.
Right.
If they're a company that makes tens of thousands of products normally.
Right. Yeah. So, that's all the news.
Anyway,
that's all the news for Dutch pinball for now. But we, of course, keep a close eye on new developments, and we'll report on that later.
Yes, wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in their difficulties and delays. But Dutch Pinball and DPX are producing games, at least. American Pinball, we don't know what they're making at the moment, or whether they are just selling stock. But you may remember a while ago they had a sale on various titles.
Right.
I can't remember. Was that?
I think they had sales. I can't remember what
the event was.
Yeah, well, I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Let's roll out some offers. Well, the 4th of July sale is on at this very moment. If you're listening to this around about the 4th of July.
Right.
Actually, the sale runs from the 20th of June through to the 7th of July, so a little bit longer. Got a couple of weeks at least to get these deals, if you want. Those deals are eerily familiar, the ones we've reported on before. Galactic Tank Force Signature Edition is available for $7,995
which is a bargain.
Compared to the list price when it was first launched, yes, which was in fact it's now $7,000 less than that, so virtually half price. So a good price for a good game, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Also, Legends of Valhalla, the classic edition, which is the sort of cost-reduced version that has plastics rather than molds for a number of on the playfield. That is now available for $5,495 which is nearly $2,000 off the original price.
Nice.
And I think for the first time, I don't remember, Hot Wheels, a classic edition of that is also available. Not such a big saving this time. It's $6,895, which is only a $500 saving on the original price. And now, not every distributor is going to be offering this. So, if you're thinking of buying one and your distributor isn't in American Pinball, suggest you contact another distributor who is offering that deal.
Right.
So, on the other hand, if you're not quite ready, hold on for the next Wednesday, when the offers
or Tuesday.
Will be again. Oh my God.
And else there will be Black Friday, there will be Thanksgiving, there will be Christmas coming up.
It's a Tuesday. Yeah.
Pet Animal Day.
I think we get the idea. Okay, these. I think we can pretty much say these are the standard prices now.
Right. Yeah.
But,
I can't see anybody buying them at the regular prices if these promotions come by so often as they do. So, but
yes,
oh well.
Okay. Yeah, as I say, we don't know whether these are newly manufactured games or games in stock. So either way, I think the classic models are recent. Recent production, because they weren't available before. Classic Tank 4 Signature Edition, probably they made all those at the start.
Right, so that means that they still have people running the production line.
Well, I can't say at this precise moment, but
it looks like it. Yes. So
okay, let's not speculate then, because we don't know.
Right.
So if you want that, you've got until the 7th of July to get those deals before the next set of deals kicks in.
Right, okay. Then we have this new company called Wonderland Amusements, who are working on another Alice game.
Yeah, Alice Goes to Wonderland.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, by the way. I mean, we were talking about import tariffs, but what if you say that the game is not built in China, it's built in Wonderland? I don't think there's tariffs imposed on Wonderland.
Not yet. Don't put the idea in people's minds. Yes. Anyway, the whole thing was funded through a Kickstarter program, for which they are vastly oversubscribed, and they reached their target very, very quickly. And they have been providing monthly updates on the progress of the game. This most latest monthly update, the June one, didn't actually include that much in the way of news. There is new game code, but they didn't have any videos of it yet. The new code apparently has lots more call-outs, more display animations, and additional rules. But they were ways that hasn't been tested and wasn't available to show yet. So hopefully next month they'll be able to show you the latest version. Despite some delays in getting things done, that they have slipped on their timeline, which was published at the start, but not a great surprise there. And of course, the game is being built in Hong Kong, which may make it subject to as yet unknown tariffs when it's brought into the US, which is where Wonderland Amusements are and where all the sales take place. So they're also kind of waiting to see what's going to happen about tariffs. But in the meantime, getting on and developing the game out in Hong Kong, and hopefully next month we'll be able to see exactly what they've been doing.
Right.
This month there wasn't an awful lot of news.
Right. So same goes for Spooky Pinball, although they did quite try to make an impact. First of all, they introduced composer and sound designer Brady Hearn on social media. Brady is working on the music and sound package for the company's next two titles. So you might be wondering, okay, who is this Brady Hearn? Well, as a composer, Brady has had music featured in over 120 television shows, including Dateline, NBC 2020, Impractical Jokers, NFL, and UFC broadcasts. And in sound design, he worked closely with companies like NBC, Paramount, MTV, and VH1.
Okay. Yeah.
And the tunes that he has created for the upcoming two games are called Top Notch. So, it's a very interesting input. Come on, release those games. Oh no, that's going to take a while, I suppose.
Yes, right. I'm afraid so.
So, yeah. And go on.
I was just going to say congratulations to Spooky and to Brady in their collaboration. Looking forward to, as you say, hearing what he's produced for the next two titles.
Right. So, and we mentioned the sweepstakes from Stern Pinball earlier on.
Okay.
Yeah, but Spooky have a different approach. They just gave away an Ultraman pinball machine on Butt's Scream and Stream.
Yeah, all you had to do was be watching it.
Right.
And
apparently, around 1,200 people were watching it.
Yeah. And the winner was a chap called JB, not John Borg.
James Brown?
No, didn't look like that either. They did have a picture of the lucky winner in his game room. So congratulations, JB, and on your new Ultraman pinball machine. Hope you get to enjoy it.
Right, and that's not all, because there was also new code for Evil Dead.
Yes, Evil Dead new code came on the 16th of June, which added the Hero from the Sky Wizard mode and a Mirror Sanity mode. Also a couple of bug fixes as well. So, but having the Wizard mode in the game is a nice thing to see. It means it's getting pretty well developed now, and it's already a great game. I think we both really enjoyed playing it, and I got to play it a bit more at the EPC, and enjoyed it just as much there as well. So it wasn't just the one game that we played. It is as a lot of people have been saying, a great game, and certainly from my perspective, Spooky's best game to date.
Yeah.
So, but they've got two more coming up at least with Brady's music in. So looking forward to seeing what happens there. And of course, Chris Franchi on code, on art as well on those.
Yes. So and then we have Hexa Pinball in France, who we know for their Space Hunt pinball machine that was released last year. It's currently their only title. We also mentioned that you visited Pinball Heaven for the Harry Potter reveal. As it turns out, Pinball Heaven has been appointed as a UK distributor for Hexa Pinball, so that means more chances of playing Space Hunt in the UK.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. They didn't have one at the show. This is a new appointment, but maybe they'll be bringing it to other shows. And we look forward to seeing it in the UK anyway, because it's a game another game which is been very well received by those who played it, and it deserves a wider audience. So let's hope it gets it in the UK.
So, and speaking of Hexa Pinball, they were a special guest at the Dutch Pinball Open Expo last year, and the organizer, the main organizer of that show, Marcel, good friend from us both, was on holiday in France and decided to visit the Hexa Pinball factory in Martillac, France, and that was shared on social media as well as confirmed that Hexa Pinball will be coming back to the Dutch Pinball Open Expo in November this year.
Very good. They did a seminar last year, or two seminars, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah.
For all visitors, because the way the ticketing works, you can buy a ticket for one day or the other. So if you want to watch their seminars, go over to the Pinball News, either the report from last year's show, DPO Expo 2024, or go to our YouTube channel. Yeah, that's the one where you can watch all the seminars from DPO Expo last year.
Right. So, okay.
Except ours.
Yes. So and then, we got Homepin in Taiwan, Mike Kalinowski's company. Their current title is, as you might know, Blues Brothers. There was a launch party, I should say, not a lunch party, but a launch party in Adelaide, Australia for that game, which is a bit odd because it's been out for months. But then again, it might have been, or it might have taken a while for the game to actually get delivered there. So it looked like they were there was a streaming rig over the game. So it looks like they had a live stream as well. I'm not sure whether that's available anywhere. But if you're interested, then I'd say see if you can find it on Google.
Yeah, and it was nice to see what people have done with the open source aspect of it and added their own music and anything else.
If they did that, yes.
Code.
Yes, if anybody attempted that so far. So, and that's all the news we got from HomePin for now. So hopefully there's work in progress and they're building more games, and we look forward to hearing from them soon.
Yes, let's move over to the US, back to the US, I suppose, after visiting France and Taiwan, and go to Texas and Turner Pinball, who, as you may know, their first game, Ninja Eclipse, well, they've wrapped up production on that now, and are moving on to production of Merlin's Arcade, their second title, except it's not actually starting just yet. It's expected to start production either next month or the month after, so July or August. And I think it just said it could be in late summer or in summer this year. So fairly vague, but I guess that means they're going to have a month or two where they're not making games but working on developing them.
Right. So
yeah, we look forward to seeing Merlin's Arcade because that was another game that we enjoyed playing.
Yeah, it was a very fun game. Highly recommended if you can play it at a show or at someone's personal collection. But I guess it will take a couple of months before people have it in their possession or collection.
I think so.
Yeah. So, and then apparently Turner Logic, which is I think the parent company of Turner Pinball, tried to register the term arcade edition as a trademark. And that would mean that no other pinball manufacturer, if awarded, no other pinball manufacturer could be using the term arcade edition, but many have already in the past. So I doubt whether that will get awarded. So
yes, it was applied for on. I'm looking at the application now. On the 8th of April, 2025, there were numerous uses of arcade edition in relation to arcade games, like Street Fighter is a popular one as well. But and of course, Jersey Jack Pinball. We were just talking about the arcade edition of Harry Potter, which has been announced for quite some time. So whether this predates that or not, I don't know. But it'd be nice to think that such a generic term as arcade edition would not be restricted in that way. But hey.
Well, stranger things have happened.
You never know. Oh, yeah. Stranger things has happened, indeed. Yes. So anyway, we'll report on that if either it gets rejected or it gets granted. And we'll keep an eye on it and let you know what's going on there. But now we come to
our favorite section of the show.
Yes, it's the very, very popular No News. And for June 2025, we have no news from
Chicago Gaming. Neither from Pinball Adventures in Canada.
You can tell we practice this, can't you? Also,
no news from Rams.
No news from Vector Pinball in Australia.
Yeah. Also, no news from Haggis Pinball, and I think we'll drop them from the list because there's nothing happening there, and Damien is
not going to be any news.
Yeah. So, and there's also no news from Bitronic in Spain.
Also, no news from Cardona Pinball in the US.
No news from STR Pinball in Spain again. Or
no news from Quetzal pinball in Spain. Either.
Yeah, slightly related to Bitronic.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So I can see a pattern here. And we're also dropping Circus Maximus as, that looks like...
They don't exist, really.
And
I haven't done anything for many years, and probably never going to. So,
so
if they do, we can always bring them back. But we won't expect any news, and we won't try and look.
If you were hoping for that Kingpin remake, I hate to tell you, but you'd rather. It's not
any day now. Okay. Okay. Well, what is happening though is a new pinball show in France.
Yes.
BIF, the
Biennale Internationale du Flipper.
Yes, exactly. Well, that sounded a bit Spanish, that flipper on the end. Yeah. Anyway, the BIF show is taking place on the 3rd, 4th and 5th of October in Nantes. You can go to salonbif, salonbif.fr to find out more details, and they have a special guest. In fact, they had 2 special guests for their very first show in the form of Roger and Ellen Sharp. Yes, that's right. They will be special guests at the BIF show. They will be present at a dinner. There will be a screening of the film The Man Who Saved Pinball, and they'll be interviewed afterwards. So if you haven't seen the movie, if you have and want to see it again, is your chance to get up close and personal with Roger and Ellen Sharp and ask them the questions that you always wanted to ask about the making of the movie, and about Roger's career in pinball, and about Roger and Ellen's family, and of course their two sons who work in the pinball business.
Right. So and then, this is UK news, so I'll let you handle this.
Well, okay, and another show, rather than being a new show, this is the last show. This coming month, on the 11th to 13th of July, it will be the 20th and final Swavesey show. I think it's called the East Anglia Pinball Show, otherwise known as the Swavesey Show. It takes place in the little village of Swavesey, in the pub there, the White Horse. Great time had by everybody. I will be running the UK Pinball Cup on the Sunday. The whole thing is free to enter, free to play. There will be a grand prize draw, charity donations and raffle tickets raise money for the chosen charity, which this year is the Alzheimer's Society. So if you are at all able to come along to Swavesey, come on in, come to the White Horse Pub, play some pinball, buy some raffle tickets, take part in the UK Pinball Cup, and help celebrate this 20th and last Swavesey Pinball Show.
And why is it the last? Why is it stopping?
Well, because the organiser, Mr. Mark Squires, otherwise known as Dr. Pinball, he was going to call it a day a few years ago, but he was persuaded to keep going for another couple of shows. So he thought, okay, I'll take it up to 20, and then and he feels as if he's done everything. And also the pinball scene has changed a lot in the 20 years that show's been running. You know, when he started it, there were very, very few events around, and now there's a lot more going on in the UK pinball scene. So he doesn't feel the need, and to be honest, he's earned a break, and he's done 20 years of fantastic shows and raised a ton of money for charity, every single one of them. So if he wants to call it a day, good luck to him, and we'll be there to celebrate the 20th show.
Right, okay. And then finally...
Yes, just a little note on the ongoing saga of the Deep Root Robert Mueller legal issues. If you may remember, for those who haven't been paying attention, or indeed those who nodded off in the past, there was a civil case against Robert Mueller brought by the liquidator of the Deep Root investment companies. That's put on hold while there's now a criminal case against him. So the US versus Robert Mueller. That has been pushed back by another 90 days at his request. So keep speculating there will be some kind of plea bargain. Well, the deadline for that is now 7th of November this year. Yes, they've got all the way until then to find out whether or not a deal has been worked out. And if not, then jury selection and trial scheduled to begin on the 1st of December, if there isn't a plea bargain.
Or a new lawyer.
Yes, that's assuming there are no more delays, but to push it into 2026, which is very, very possible. But at the moment, the next date to look out for is the 7th of November. And of course, we will keep you updated as and when that changes.
Right. And that rounds it up for our PINcast, looking back at the month of June 2025.
It does. Yet we will be back at the start of August with our next PINcast, where we look back again at all the events in the pinball world, all the excitement throughout this month of July. So until then, from me, Martin Ayer of Pinball News.
And me, Jonathan Houston of Pinball Magazine.
We wish you a very jovial July and look forward to joining you again next month for the next edition of the Pinball Industry News PINcast. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.